So if you're watching this video, I imagine you have finals coming up, and I know your time is very valuable, so I appreciate you for spending some of it watching this low budget video. But I'm gonna try to keep this quick. Obviously, I'm going through finals too. Even if you're not a college student, you probably have some like end of the year tests. I don't know why teachers do this, but they have like this habit of just cramming tests at the end of the year anyway. Like I don't think this is mutually exclusive to just like college. Like I think back when I was in high school, they had a lot of end of the year tests as well. And right now I have a bunch of finals, or a few, not like a bunch, but a few, and I'm kind of crashing out. So this video is honestly for me as well. I do want to thank you guys for good views on the last video. I was this close to like taking a break from these videos because I was like, oh well, no one's really watching them anyway, and I got other stuff to do. But I figured I would, try another one because the last one got good views, and I have something to talk about, right? But anyway, so I have like about three finals this week. Or this week and next week. Like I think like for me, it's like we call it finals week, but there's usually like finals the week before as well. But yeah, so I got a Calculus 2 final, an Engineering Materials final, and a Mandarin final. I spelled 2 wrong. That's how much of a rush I'm in. That's how little time I have. The first 2 finals are needed to pass. Like you need the final to pass the class. The Mandarin is not one of these classes. I'll get to that in a sec. I gotta study a lot, right? But instead I'm making a YouTube video. Yes, I know I missed a video a few days ago, like a Tuesday video, but I don't think talking about like trains or whatever I do on Tuesday is the best use of my time. So we're doing this video. I'm like really bad at studying, and there's like a good chance I have ADHD. It doesn't combine well when you're trying to study for things. But here we are. So calculus. It's actually a Calculus 2 final. If you're wondering why it's 2, Calculus 1 was the first half of the semester. I don't understand this. I don't know if this is a thing. Like if someone else is watching this somehow and you're like, you're taking calculus right now, I want to know if this is a thing for other colleges. If you take Calculus 1 in the first half and Calculus 2 in the second. I think it used to be like one calculus course and then spread out the whole semester, but the content was the same. So I think it's a bit of both. I think our school kind of rushes it a bit because I'm an engineering major and they want us to know this stuff as soon as possible. Calculus is not easy in my school. Like I think like it's not easy, especially in my school. Because like I don't know, I'm in a pretty decent school, like in terms of like academics, so we tend to have like a higher level, especially compared to America. I've talked about this before in like another video, but you get the idea, right? On the Calculus 1 final, I'm pretty sure our average was like a 51 out of 100, which is not good, right? Like if your whole class is failing, like there's one argument you can make, like, oh, okay, well, if 1 or 2 people are struggling, the class average is at 80, you got to get good. But if the whole class is getting this average, like no matter how you do the math, it either means like, is it better that there's 2 scenarios, right? There's 100 out of like maybe 100 people, half of them got 100 and the other half got a 0. No matter how you do the math, like the more people are struggling than they should be, right? But I think someone in the class got like a 90 on the final, and I guess the teacher sees that as like, oh, everyone just needs to be like that guy. I don't understand why they think Calculus 2's final will go better. Like this is one thing I never understood about college, and maybe I think, like I said, my school does this even more. They see a class average of 51 out of 100, and they're like, oh, that's perfectly fine. Like there's no issue there. And I honestly don't understand like what the logic here is anymore. Like if the whole class is struggling, clearly it's not our fault anymore, and you need to change your studying, like your teaching methods, right? But that's just not how it works most of the time. But it's not. I think it's moments like these where you have to like remember it's not entirely your fault, for example, or our fault, or the class's fault, for example, that like we're struggling. Sometimes the school, it's just the way school works. You get a bad grade, they're not gonna do much to change it, right? I did hear a rumor. So I'm taking calculus, right? And I last year, from what I understand, people were doing like a lot better and like passing calculus a lot more. And I heard this rumor. I don't know if this is true. But apparently, like calculus, right now we're in Calculus 2, and Calculus 1 ended like 6 or 7 weeks ago. I didn't mean to say it like that. 6 or 8 weeks ago. And right now the calculus teacher is still like trying to work out the grades for Calculus 1. it's kind of suspicious, right? Because calculus 2 is already like almost over and he still hasn't figured out calculus 1 grades yet. And I heard this rumor it's because he's trying to give us like a curve so that more people pass the class, because it looks really bad for him if not that many people pass, right? And apparently he got suspended last year because not enough people passed under him. So it's nice to see the school at least hold people a little accountable. Makes sense, right? Like no matter how hard the content is, if it's the same course as last year and less people are passing under your teaching, it is the teacher's fault. It literally cannot be anyone else's fault, right? So I think he's been trying to give us like a curve here and there. I guess he's trying to get that 51 average to a 60, and right now he's not getting there. It's like at a 54. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but it's a little bit funny. It makes me feel a little better, right? That the teacher's crashing out as much as we are about the calculus grades. Like I feel like classes like these are not classes where you learn. Like if it's a class that you need the final to pass, you don't learn this class. Like maybe you learn as like a secondary bonus, but you survive, right? I think you can tell by how fast I'm talking that I'm clearly like nervous about it. I've been trying to like study by like doing practice problems, right? And I can't say it's going well, right? Like, but I'm trying, right? Any improvement is improvement. Even like I know that's a joke that like people are okay with a 40 out of 100 in classes like these, but I would be okay with that. It's just about trying, right? Engineering materials. So this is a lecture class. It's kind of similar to like chemistry, at least in my school. It's just lecture. They just kind of tell you information. These are the kind of classes that you showing up and you not showing up make no difference, so they don't grade on attendance. Most classes don't grade on attendance anyway. I don't pay attention well when they do lectures, especially when like they're not talking directly to me. I just can't focus. So I had to like do a lot of studying outside of class. Half of this class is memorizing facts, like Quizlet level stuff, and the other stuff is like memorizing formulas. So that stuff is a little harder, right? The final is 45%, so you literally cannot pass without the final. And a class like these are very one way or the other. You put in the work, you pass. You don't put in the work, you don't pass. There really is no in between. But it's kind of hard to study for classes like these because it really is just looking at the slides and like writing down information. But I'm not particularly great at doing that because like I think it's fair to say I thrive in like a conversational environment. Speaking of which, so Mandarin, you don't really need. This is one of the few classes that has like a written test that you don't need to pass the final to actually pass the class. Like I think the final is like 20% or something like that. It is nowhere near like the amount of percent that other finals are. So it makes sense, right? Because like Mandarin or any language class for that matter is a class where you're there to learn the language and talk, right? So a lot of the grades are based on your ability to communicate in general. So participation is a big part of classes like these because as long as you're speaking Mandarin, you're still learning, and by that default, you're still taking the class, and that also acts as a grade, right? It's kind of different because in calculus, you can't exactly participate. I don't really know what to say. Can you explain that again or correct them? Like I definitely can't do that. There was like this one person in my calculus class who walked up to the teacher and corrected his problem. I'm like, dog, the balls you need to have to correct the teacher. But that aside, right? Mandarin class is a nice break from like other classes. Like I am a native speaker, so like it is a little easier for me, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't study at all, right? So I don't want to fail. I'll figure something out. It probably means I will not study for it at all, but I'll see if I can make time for it because I don't want to fail this class. Somehow through all of this, Mandarin has become my favorite class. Like I don't particularly love learning Mandarin because I'm like an English speaker who just happens to know some Mandarin because I was like born in a Mandarin speaking country. But like all that aside, right? Like I am glad that it's a little easier for me because sometimes you just need a break like this in like such a stressful environment. But yeah, like the classes like these are chill, and I'm glad to have a break like this because I think I need it. Okay, final projects. So this is like the other section where it's like, yes, technically finals week, it also kind of includes this as well. Like these are not tests, right? Like classes like maybe I don't want to say all humanities classes are like this. I know like some humanities classes have tests, like written tests, but some of them don't. In my case, like one of my humanities like classes just has a bunch of random projects at the end. And these are easier, obviously, right? Because you can do it at home. And you don't usually have to do it on the spot, right? There's one class, like I did have a coding final, like it was an actual test, but the class is like mainly projects, and it kind of sucks, right? Because like I obviously want to learn coding, I find it interesting, Which if you asked me a few years ago, I probably would have told you I hated coding, but the fact that I like it now is kind of funny, right? It just shows how much calculus it has, how terrible calculus is. It's like, at least it's not computer science, or at least it's not calculus. Like the mentality changes, right? So now coding, I do like it. I do want to learn it, but when the class is pretty simple or straightforward to pass, it's not your priority, right? Because you want to be able to pass your classes. I wish I could learn more coding, but just my mind is already scrambled with through all the finals, and it just kind of like you wish you could learn more, because there really are a lot of interesting classes like in my school, but it's not like a priority in your brain, because if they're easier to pass, it's not a worry, right? Like this is definitely an issue. Like I wish I could learn like more, but it's just the kind of like the stress of things, right? So grades, right? Grades are not everything. They are important for jobs, and they do look good. Like frankly, if you've seen those like YouTube shorts that are like, oh, grades aren't everything, and chances are they're a teacher who teaches a class that's pass fail, or a class that's a little kind of useless for your future. Like no offense, but like that's usually where you'll hear this argument from, that grades aren't everything. Because grades definitely aren't everything in a class where grades are not the focus. Like a Mandarin class, the grade isn't everything, because the main takeaway is that you're learning how to speak the language, right? But in calculus, grades are more important because they see like calculus as a kind of class where you take a test to assess your knowledge, and if you do bad on that test, you clearly don't know enough calculus. But that's the thing, right? Like this argument is still pretty good. Like grades definitely aren't everything, because sometimes improvement or success is shown in ways that aren't like just a number, right? Like, I'm not a great studier, but recently, like at least especially this semester, I've been trying to put in the work to improve my study habits. I think you can tell like I never really studied a lot growing up. You can say it's because I got lucky, or because I just happen to know more stuff than other people. That's another conversation for another day. But I've been trying to put in more work and improve my study habits, and I think I've gotten a better job, right? I've gone from like not studying at all to like doing like maybe 2 hours a day. Not perfectly, but we're getting somewhere. Maybe I won't be able to do the best this semester, but that's something that takes time to build, right? So yeah, my study habits are improving, and even if that improvement doesn't always show up in the grades, I improved, right? Like I always forget this. Like I'm telling this to myself too, right? Like if you're watching this and you're thinking like, oh man, I got like a 40 on my test, and you need a 60 to pass. Well, who knows? Maybe you got like a 20 last time. I don't know. Like I am kind of speaking from my own experience. Any improvement is improvement. Yes, okay, fine. So maybe you still didn't pass, and you still didn't pass, and like it didn't really matter for the class of passing, but you still improved. And I think it's important to remember that, right? Like I think our brains are so wrapped around these grades, but like realistically, you did improve, right? Because like that's just a number, right? They could have made the passing grade 10, but and then would you have thought you improved, right? Like the logic is still the same, right? So I think it's good to remember that any improvement is improvement, even if it doesn't show up in the grades. Even if you somehow do worse on a test, which I think I've done before, it shows up in like other ways, right? Like I think my studying is better, and my mentality of like studying is overall healthier. But all right, now we need to talk about life in general. So I've been rambling a bunch about like finals and stuff like that, but we need to take a breath for a sec and just think about life for a sec. Like tests obviously are really stressful, and I think for most people, especially if you're watching this video right now, the most important thing in your life right now probably is finals. Like you're worried that like if you fail, you're cooked, you're done, I don't know, what are they saying? Like you're screwed, whatever. That is definitely important. Like yes, truly, yeah. I think as a college student right now, the biggest worry right now for me is that if I don't pass these finals, I'm going to be kind of screwed. But like you gotta think about it, right? We are just trying, right? We're trying, and we don't always succeed the first try, but we are trying. Like there are other things in life to worry about, right? Like things that just aren't school, right? Like it's important, like even though the timing isn't ideal, to not forget about extracurriculars and stuff like that, because they truly are important. I think we tend to forget. Like I myself do like extracurriculars, and I think it's just good to remember that. Like we're so focused on grades, but it's always good to see positive things elsewhere. Like I like listening to music, and I've been trying to do a lot of stuff like creatively with music, and I think that's good to remember. There'll always be things to look forward to, and even if you're looking at your life right now thinking, wow, I don't have much to look forward to, it's always good to just take a breath and just think about your situation and just think about what you can do, right? Like I think something I always tell myself in like stressful weeks is that I may not be having the best time right now, but I do have the resources around me, the college environment to try, right? I may not always do better, but I can always try to do better, right? So yeah. So how am I gonna get through finals week? So I'm gonna try to sleep as well as I can. Like I think for me, sleep is probably the most important thing. What is it? Sleep, socials, and studies. Social life is a little bit questionable right now because of finals week. Everyone is, hibernating in their dorm anyway. So I think it's good. Maybe socials we can, save that for the break, which is another thing to talk about, right? Look, and then you just try to sleep as well as you can. I do not like Red Bull and all that junk, so I try to avoid that. If I want caffeine, I'll drink bubble tea. And if I want to study, I plan to study for at least 3 hours a day, with of course small breaks in between. I'm gonna try not to let my ADHD distract me too much. There are methods to do that, but that's for me to figure out myself. And I still try to make time for fun things as much as you can, and of course just try to make it to the break. Like the break is a whole different thing that I'll get into another time. But at least here, next 2 weeks or week and a half, just gotta make it through. Okay. No matter how you do, no matter how I do, no matter how anyone's watching this do, if you put in the effort and you improved, okay? Because you're putting effort, right? Because you would probably feel worse if you didn't try at all. So I guess that's a takeaway for this video. Just try to keep a healthy mindset through all of this. Hopefully this video did help a little bit. And of course, since y'all are so busy, I do appreciate you taking some of your time to watch this video. Bye.